Tonight, the Murray-Darling Basin Authority rejects maladministration claims and Port Pirie students learn about the wine industry.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Casey Treelaw begins now.
Good evening. The Murray-Darling Basin Authority has rejected claims it performed maladministration while overseeing the region's water sharing plan. The governing body responding to findings of the South Australian Royal Commission this week. Patrick Reinke has the details.
The findings from South Australia's Royal Commission into the Murray-Darling Basin Plan was very damning on the Basin Authority. In the report, it was claimed the MDBA acted unlawfully and conducted maladministration. The authority responded this week saying they are not in the wrong and that they hold themselves to high standards when it comes to ethics. Furthermore, they say the report has no specific evidence for such accusations. They reject the claims. The MDBA highlighted the challenges it faces in implementing the Sustainable Diversion Limit Adjustment Mechanism in the Southern Basin. They are also concerned progress towards recovering the additional 450 gigalitres through efficiency measures has been slow and more work is needed to protect environmental flows. The authority says the Basin Plan must be reviewed periodically. 2026 is the next scheduled review, but the Water Minister can bring that forward if he or she decides. The MDBA believes it's in the best interest of the basin, its environment, communities and industries to stay on course. The Murray-Darling Basin Authority did not wish to comment further to 7 Spencer Golf, preferring the report speaks for itself.
Port Augusta Council has held a community forum to discuss the latest plans for the $3.2 million rehabilitation of Bird Lake. New measures are in place to prevent summer dust events, with works to begin next month.
For years, the foul-smelling odours of Bird Lake have caused havoc in Port Augusta.
And yes, stink, rotten.
But the plan to mask the stench will soon be realised.
This project's a phenomenal project for this council and it's a big step.
The council held a community forum last night to discuss the latest around the project. The algal mats which lay around the edge of the lake produce the smell when they dry out, and 30 centimetres of dirt will be then spread across these areas and will be then seeded with a mixture of arid plants. The council wants to begin the project in March.
We don't want to go any later than that because we want to get the process in place so when we do expect the rain, we can capture as much as we can.
But last year was one of the region's driest on record, and the germination process is heavily reliant on rainfall. And a history of dust events from the nearby site is always a concern.
If we need to, we will have the spray cover to go over the top to stop any dust if we don't get the rain.
It's anticipated the revegetation will also see the return of the native birds which previously called the Salt Lake home. The $3.2 million plan has been given the thumbs up from the community.
To get what we've got for Bird Lake, I'm really wrapped. If we can reduce the smell, if we can get it looking nice when people drive into town, it's just great news for Port Augusta.
GARTH, BURLEY, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Lincoln was buzzing yesterday, welcoming 2 cruise ships on the same day. It's a first for the town with more than 2,500 tourists exploring the local region. The Astor and the Pacific Jewel docking either side of the wharf yesterday morning.
It brings a lot of people into the community, a lot of dollars spent. A lot of people get to experience what we have to offer on Eyre Peninsula.
I wanted to have oysters. I've heard they're very nice, and a nice lunch, and I'm sure we'll have a drink along the way somewhere.
The town was a sea of colour with markets and artists welcoming visitors. It also marked the beginning of the end, with just 3 more cruise ships to visit before the end of the season. A cybersecurity expert says businesses in regional South Australia need to be doing more to protect themselves against the threat of online hackers. A new wave of scams has left many people out of pocket.
It's a new generation of robbers, but instead of gaining entry through your home, they come through your computer screen. And your personal information is their target.
Cybersecurity criminals are really about making money.
The number of reported breaches is rising, and for hackers, any business is fair game.
Most of them are around phishing and brute force attacks, which is all about stealing people's credentials.
Port Augusta business owner Ben Russell is well aware of the damage these criminals can cause if they gain access to your computer.
We have quite a big email address. bank accounts go out there, clubs, etc., etc. So it's quite important to have that sort of security in place.
But he is protected against a threat, unlike other businesses around the region. A recent study of 10 million websites found 17% of passwords were generic, like 12345. And online expert Greg Starkey is urging local employers not to be as complacent.
It's very important that you have a level of complexity in your passwords and that you use different passwords for different sites.
He's also advising users to be aware of fake invoice email scams that trick users into paying money into a foreign account. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Cox Architects has won the tender to design the new Whyalla High School. It's picked up the job weeks after the opening of its previous prestigious project, the Adelaide Botanic High School.
It's got the land, it has the student base, and now the new Whyalla High School has a designer. Cox Architects has secured the contract to design the $100 million school, which will open in 2022. Firm director Adam Hannon says it's an exciting opportunity.
If you could find a site that has university, has TAFE, has the Performing Arts and Cultural Precinct next door in a regional setting, you couldn't find a better site than this.
It's got a track record in educational buildings, which includes designing the recently opened Adelaide Botanic High School. Science and technology was a key feature there, something Mr Hannon is keen to incorporate here.
Botanic it's very, very rich in technology. I suspect in a couple more years we can probably take Whyalla to the next level.
Thompson Rossi will join them on the design. Marino Rossi says this project will be a statement about the future of the city.
More than just a building for us, it's actually a transformational project for the whole community and the region.
But first, the Education Department is going back to school. They'll consult with teachers, students and parents on what the finished product should look like.
For the school community to work closely with the architects to talk more and think more and plan more about what do we want our new school to look like.
Construction should start next year. John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, new insights given at a Port Lincoln Small Business Fair, and Broken Hill Council say no to lights at Alma Oval. Port Lincoln businesses have been given an insight into incentives and assistance available to them. It came with government officials speaking at a local small business fair at the weekend.
There was a chance for the small business owners of the peninsula to meet the lawmakers. Guest speakers were on hand offering valuable words of advice and support.
We are backing small business and we want you to succeed.
Government agencies met with locals providing information on tools, incentives and assistance available to owners.
How you go about putting on an apprentice, whether they're tax incentives that are available to you. Talking to the ATO about our small business unit within the ATO.
Ms Ruston says small business is a vital component of the national economy and supporting them is critical.
If we continue to weaken small business by over-regulating, overburdening them, not providing them with the tools they need to be successful, then we will destroy our economy.
The crowd was full of eager business owners looking for ways to boost their viability.
Just figure that if I can grab one little piece of information that might help us moving forward, that'll be fantastic.
I'm just finding out information about tax incentives and starting up a business again.
Ms Ruston says the expo was successful with her department asking for feedback from locals to help shape policies. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill City Council has decided not to accept a gift from the local football league that would have seen lights installed at Alma Oval, taking away the chance for the grounds in the city south to host nighttime sport.
Lights out on this suggestion.
It's a little bit too much money for obsolete technology.
At last night's meeting, councillors debated whether or not they should install the old light towers from Jubilee Oval once they're replaced out at the Alma. The Jube and Memorial Oval are the only two venues that currently have proper lights. A well-lit Alma could have seen night cricket, under-18s footy and more held there.
There is a great opportunity for us to be able to look at putting lights at Alma. I don't think we should rule that out, and I think that in the next budget or future budgets we should consider that.
But it won't be happening anytime soon. Majority of councillors deciding the cost of installation and maintenance paired with the obsolete technology that may prove tricky to replace was a too big a burden. The General Manager believes it's better the lights be new and improved.
I think what we should probably try and do is put up new technology, LED lights, the very best that we possibly can, up at Alma Oval so we get best bang for buck.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still in Broken Hill, and last night councillors also decided not to decrease parking fines in the city's CBD. A suggestion from the New South Wales Treasurer to reduce parking penalties from $112 to $80 won't be adopted. The General Manager says the change in fines would have affected council's costings dramatically.
Instead of maybe costing us $5,000 or $6,000 a year to run a range of service, it's all of a sudden it's costing us $50,000 or $60,000. So
the parking compliance function at Broken Hill Council is currently operating at a $30,000 deficit. It actually costs council more to conduct parking enforcement than what they make in receiving fines. The 2019 grape vintage is underway at Port Pirie's St Mark's College, where students are getting an advanced lesson in viticulture. The program gives students an understanding of how fermentation works.
These students certainly aren't whining about being in the classroom. St Mark's College has been busy picking grapes for this year's vintage.
Our students have been checking the sugar level, so recording the bome just to see when the grapes are at the optimum time for picking.
Students harvested a ton of grapes, making it the school's biggest yet.
About 1,200 kilos, which was more than double our previous. So as the vines are maturing and getting a bit more growth into them, they're producing quite a bit more.
The next step is learning about primary fermentation, punching the skins down and then pressing the wine over the coming days. Even the art students have chipped in, designing a stylish label for the bottled Shiraz.
So it's microbiological process, so you're learning a bit about microbiology, how yeast metabolise sugars.
Unfortunately, the students are a little too young to reap the fruits of their reward. Instead, the red will be given out to their parents and teachers.
That was the 2018 vintage, that was last year, so they'll, I guess, get a bottle of this year's vintage.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll see what fish are biting in the Gulf, and Nicole will join us with the region's weather forecast. Livestock experts have shared their insights into farm management at a workshop in Snowtown today. It was an impressive turnout, with some farmers travelling more than 300 kilometres to attend. Keynote speakers provided information on cost-effective management for cattle and sheep producers.
And with current conditions being dry across a lot of areas within the state as well, part of the message is how can we manage use most effectively in areas like using containment lots.
The event was led by Advantage Feeders and Alltech Linert, with both helping farmers to get more production from natural feed growing on farm. Now it's time to take a look at what's biting around the region.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fish and Chips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, nice weather at the moment and a bog stock report to have. Lots and lots of crabs around, really big and full of meat. Mainly out in the middle banks though, not so much down along the shacks. Good catches of garfish at night, although with the big moons and that, they'll be a little bit deeper, so try and a little bit shallower in around the mangroves there. It's a nice flatter getting caught down off the jetties along the shacks. Yeah, there's also some big kingfish being spotted around the place as well, up around Port Patterson and around the powerhouse. And that's all from the Jewel of the North.
Yellowfin whiting, they're still here, still going really gangbusters around the place. So the big tip that I've got at the moment is Barrows Beach. That's working a lot better than a lot of other places. So brave the mosquitoes, have a crack out there. The weather's going to be fine over the weekend, nice hot spurt, so that'll just get them enthused. Blue swimmer crabs are just coming out of their eyeballs, so I think that's fantastic. Last year and every year we've told you, when you're catching your blue swimmer crabs, if you cook them and actually cryovac them, you can enjoy that flavour throughout the years. Remember to be kind to one another at the boat ramp. We've had a few little incidents where, you know, people are parking in the washdown bays and all that sort of stuff. They are washdown bays for people to get in and out and wash their boats. So that's all we've got this week. We'll see you next week.
High whalers fishing report this week. Crabs are absolutely everywhere throughout Whyalla, both south and north of Whyalla. Also out on the land-based towards Cowlard's Landing, there's been some really good numbers of crabs being raked up along the beaches there. Most guys hitting their bag limits in only an hour or so. For the snapper front, there has been some really good snapper coming down to around the Ward Spit grounds, and a little bit further down towards the eastern shoals, been a few fish pushing up around that area as well. Garfish across Whyalla, plenty of garfish coming in out front of Mount Young and also out in front of the silt grounds.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. Well, locally there's been a few garfish caught, which is good. So off of some local jetties, off of the rocks around the southern part of the bay. Locally whiting have been pretty slow in local bays, but some nice fish have come from the group out from Tumby. And there have been some big patches of salmon down south of Port Lincoln lately around Thistle Island. There's also been a few tuna still down around south of Thistle. And there's been some tuna out at the cabbage patch. Moving over to Coffin Bay, the whiting have been a little bit hit and miss out in the farm beach grounds, but there have been some gummy sharks in that area. Well, that's all for Fishing Tips this week. We'll see you again next week.
And time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Nicole.
Well, it was a mostly sunny day across the Gulf today, with Port Augusta the warmest, reaching a top of 32 degrees, Whyalla 27, Port Lincoln 25, Broken Hill 30, Port Pirie 31, and it was 27 in Adelaide. On the satellite today, patchy low cloud is generating the odd light shower, but skies are otherwise clear under a broad high pressure system. Looking at the waters for tomorrow, southeasterly to southwesterly winds around 15 to 20 knots, seas at 2 metres, and the sun will rise at 6:59 tomorrow morning with sunset just after 8 p.m. Perfect temperatures almost everywhere for tomorrow and mostly sunny. Port Augusta set for a top at 35 degrees, Whyalla 31, Port Lincoln some patchy cloud and 27, Coffin Bay 29, Woodner 36, Corn 34, Broken Hill 33, Port Pirie 34, Clare 31, Cleve 30, Kadina 33 and Adelaide sunny and 32. Moving ahead to the end of the week and the last weekend of summer, it will be fine in Port Lincoln on Saturday, temperatures moving into the 30s by Sunday. Cleve will warm up with 38 degrees on the way for Monday and some hot days coming up for Woodner, 38 on Saturday and 40 by Monday. A warm and sunny weekend for Whyalla, 33 Saturday, 36 for Sunday. Port Augusta temperatures also scoring with 39 on Sunday, 40 on Monday. Kadina in for a warm weekend, also 35 Saturday, 36 on Sunday. Port Pirie also in for a warm weekend, 36 on Saturday, 38 for Sunday, and a bit cooler for Clare, 36 by Monday. Broken Hill 34 for both days this weekend. And that's all for tonight's weather, Casey. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Nicole. And that's the local news this Thursday. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.